Then I have the officers to be installed, and they all know what to do. So let's get started. Brother Marshall, would you please go get the installing officers?
No, I found 0 from yeah. Wait. Whatever. He's going to open up the file first. And he's going to come back.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you our installing officer team. First, we have on your left, I believe that's correct, on your right, on my right anyway, it's Brother Eddie Hernandez, installing marshal. Thank you, Brother Hernandez. Our installing officer is Right Worshipful Brother Reuben Owens. Our installing chaplain is Worshipful Brother Mark Noakes. And our installing secretary is our own brother, Right Worshipful Brother Bob Beebe. Brother installing officers, will you take your places? Brother Marshall, will you bring our officers to be installed? Okay, I have my phone in my hand for a reason, and that's to remind you all to avoid the embarrassment that I have had happen to me many times. Please turn it off or silence it so that it's either in airplane mode or turned off so that it won't make any noise. I've been embarrassed more than a few times. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, seated, please. And now my job as MC is over, and I get to go take my place in one of the chairs back there. So if you don't mind, Brother Installing Officer, I would like to go and do that. Can I have your permission?
Yes, sir. Our MC forgot to introduce himself. He is worshipful brother Frank Della, most immediate past master part of the So, welcome everybody. My name is Ruben, for those who don't know or didn't hear. And I just want to say, first of all, that this is not a serious, solemn occasion. This is a festive occasion, a celebration, so feel free not to be sad or somber in this moment. If you want to take pictures, feel free to move around. Take pictures, take all the pictures you want. If you want to put it on Instagram Live or something like that, go ahead and do that. We have a couple of social media celebrities in our lives right now. All right. I'm just, I need that. All right, so without further ado, we're going to get started with Brother Installing Secretary. You will announce the names of the officers elected and appointed to govern this law.
Will the brethren please stand as their name is announced? Brother Earl Zingraf, Worshipful Master-elect. Brother Kelly Thorpe, Senior Warden-elect. Stephen Swank, Junior Warden-elected. Worshipful Brother Javier Mendoza, Treasurer-elected. Right Worshipful Brother Douglas Bermudez, Secretary-elected. Worshipful Brother Ray DeGroot, Assistant Secretary, appointed. Brother Richard Santiago, Senior Deacon, appointed. Brother Jamie Aponte, Junior Deacon, appointed. Brother Richard Oliver, Senior Steward, appointed. Brother Adam Meza, Junior Steward, appointed. Worshipful Brother Frank Della, Chaplain, appointed. Worshipful Brother Anthony Hutchins, Marshal, appointed. Worshipful Brother Edward Wittes, Tyler, appointed.
Reverend Paul Revere Lodge, you have heard the names of the brethren who have been selected as officers for the ensuing assigned duty. If any member present knows of a just cause why any of the brethren should not be installed into office, let him speak now or forever after. Be silent. Brother Marshall, you will present the worshipful master-elect for installation.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother Earl Zingraf, Worshipful Master-elect for installation.
Brother Marshall, you will place our brother at the altar to receive the benefit of prayer and to take his official obligation. Let us all rise for the invocation.
Most holy, glorious Lord God, we approach thee with reverence. We implore thy blessings on this brother that has been elected to preside over this lodge, and now prostrate before thee. Fill him with joy, his tongue and his actions pronounce thy glory. Make him steadfast in his service. Grant him mindful firmness. Emanate his heart, strengthen his endeavors. May he teach him thy judgment and thy laws. Be a true and faithful servant. Bless him, O Lord. Bless the work of his hands. Hear thou our prayer. Grant our earnest supplications. Amen.
Somebody lead.
Repeat after me. I solemnly promise,
I solemnly promise,
in the honor of the Mason,
as an honor of a Mason,
that in the office of Worshipful Master,
that in the office of Worshipful Master
Paul Revere Lodge, number 998,
of Paul Revere Lodge number 998,
I will, to the best of my ability,
I will, to the best of my ability,
strictly comply with the Constitution,
strictly comply with the Constitution,
bylaws, and regulations
bylaws, and regulations
of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge
of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge
of ancient, free, and accepted Masons
of ancient, free, and accepted Masons
of the state of Illinois,
of the state of Illinois,
the bylaws
its bylaws,
of Paul Revere Lodge, number 998,
of Paul Revere Lodge number 998,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
so far as the same shall come
so far as the same shall come
to my knowledge.
to my knowledge.
Rise. Everyone else, be seated. My brother, in inducting you into your office as a symbol of the commencement of your government of this lodge, I am performing the most pleasing duty. By immemorial usages and established landmarks of Freemasonry, you are to be installed worshipful master of this lodge, powers and prerogatives which are of high importance and due solemnity. The good resolutions which I doubt not you have formed in your own mind, that these powers should not be abused or perverted by you, I will gladly strengthen by word of admonition. The very consciousness of the possession of great power will ever make a generous mind cautious and gentle in its exercise. To rule has been allotted me. It requires neither strength of intellect nor soundness of judgment. But to rule well has been the fortune of but few, and may well be the object of an honorable ambition. It is not by a strong arm or iron will that obedience and order, the chief requisites of good government, are secured, but by holding the key to the hearts of men. The office of master is of great antiquity and respect. It is one of the highest dignities to which we may aspire. It's incumbent to rule well should possess and practice several important requisites. As a man, he should be of approved integrity and irreproachable morals, free from the dominion of hasty temper and ill-governed passions, of good repute in the world, and practicing as an example to his brother the cardinal virtues temperance, fortitude, prudence, and justice. As a citizen, he should be loyal to his government, obedient to its laws, prompt in the duty he owes to society, and a pattern of fidelity in all social and domestic relations. As a Mason, he should cling to the old landmarks and be sternly opposed to their infringement. Be desirous to learn, apt to teach, prompt to aid and relieve, and be ever mindful that though elevated for a time above his fellows, he is elevated by them, and should therefore cultivate everyone and at all times the golden tenets, brotherly love, relief, and truth. As an officer, he should remember first of all that he is an individual Mason, sharing in that respect a common lot with his brother, and therefore interested in the welfare of each and all. Be devoid of undue ostentation and haughty overbearing. Be accessible to all, cultivating the closest friendships and most unlimited confidence with his associate officers. Be eager to take counsel with his brother and ready to give it. Be ready to reward good. Be devoid of favoritism. And be wholly impartial. Such are some of the most important qualifications a master should possess in the errors he should avoid. It may be that most, if not all of us, have failed to reach this standard, but it is attainable. It be your purpose to reach it, and be a shining example to those who shall come after you. And my brother, previous to your investiture, it will be necessary that you signify your assent to the ancient charges and regulations which point out the duties of the master of the lodge. You promise to be a good man and true, and strictly to obey the moral law.
I do.
You promise to be a peaceable citizen and cheerfully conform to the laws of the country in which you reside.
I do.
You promise not to be concerned with plots and conspiracies against government, but patiently to submit to the law and the constituted authority.
I do.
You promise to pay a proper respect to the civil magistrate, to work diligently, live creditably, and act honorably by all men.
I do.
You promise to avoid private piques and quarrels, and to guard against intemperance and excess.
I do.
You promise to be cautious in your behavior, courteous to your brethren, and faithful to your lodge.
I do.
You promise to respect genuine brethren, and to discountenance impostors and all dissenters from the original plan of Masonry.
I do.
You promise to pay a proper respect. You promise to pay homage to the Grand Master for the time being and to his officers when duly installed, and cheerfully to conform to the regulations of the Grand Lodge or General Assembly of Masons that are not subversive of the principles and groundwork of Masonry.
I do.
You promise a regular attendance on the committees and communication of the Grand Lodge on receiving proper notice, and to pay attention to all the duties of Masonry on convenient occasions.
I do.
You agree to hold in veneration the original rulers and patrons of Masonry and to their regular successors, supreme and subordinate according to their stations, and to submit to the awards and resolutions of your brethren when a lodge convenes, in every case consistent with the constitutions of Masonry.
I do.
You agree to promote the general good of society, to cultivate the social virtue, and propagate the knowledge of the mystic art.
I do.
You agree that no visitor shall be received into your lodge without due examination and satisfactory evidence of their having been initiated in a regular lodge.
I do.
You admit that no Mason, no person can be regularly made a Mason in or admitted a member of any regular lodge without previous notice and due inquiry into his character.
I do.
You admit that no new lodge shall be formed without permission from the Grand Lodge that no countenance be given to any irregular lodge, nor to any person clandestinely initiated therein, it being contrary to the ancient landmarks of masonry.
I do.
You admit that it is not in the power of any man or body of men to make innovations in the body of masonry.
I do.
These are the regulations the nation created set for masons. If you submit to these charges and agree to support these regulations, as masters have done in all ages before them.
I do.
Brother Zengraf, in consequence of your cheerful assent to the charges and regulations of the ancient fraternity, you are now to be installed worshipful master of Paul Revere Lodge in full confidence of your care, skill, and capacity to govern the same. Brother Marshall, you will conduct the worshipful master to the foot of the dais. As you pass that way, have him illuminate the light which represents his station in the lodge. Brother, with pleasure, I now cause you to be invested with the jewel of your office, the square. As the square is used by the operative masons to fit and adjust the stones of a building that all its parts may properly agree, so you, as worshipful master of this lodge, are admonished by the symbolic meaning of the square to preserve that moral importance among the members of your lodge which should characterize all of the masons. You'll also receive the various books and implements received in your lodge, starting with and especially the Holy Bible. Holy Bible, that great light and mystery, will guide you to all truth. Will direct your path to the temple of happiness, point out to you the whole being of man. The compasses teach us to limit our desires in every station. Rising to eminence by merit, you may live respected and die regretted. The rule directs that we should punctually observe our duty, press forward in the path of virtue, and inclining neither to the right nor to the left, in all our actions have eternity in view. The line teaches us the criterion of moral rectitude to avoid dissimulation, conversation, and action. Press forward on the steps that lead to immortality. Book of Constitutions, you are to search at all times. Cause it to be read in your lives that none may claim ignorance of the excellent precepts it enjoins. Frank. Now receive in charge the charter by the authority in which this lodge is held. As its lawful custodian, you are to carefully preserve and duly transmit it to your successor in office. Take it back. You also received the charge, bylaw of all Revere Lodge, which you are to see carefully and punctually observe. You want to step up? Place in your hand this gavel, additional insignia of your rank and authority. Wield it, my brother, with prudence and discretion. And before you sit down with that, we got the presentation from Ms. Nina Hernandez, who's going to tell us a little bit about the gavel.
I would now like to explain to you what the gavel means to us Rainbow Girls in relation to the Masons. Worshipful Master, this gavel that I hold in my hand is the age-old symbol of the authority of office. When you accept this gavel, you will accept it in all of its wrappings. Those wrappings, just like our color stations, are 7 in number. They are invisible. You cannot see them, but they are just as real as the golden enamel cover the wood which this gavel is made of. The first of these wrappings is that of responsibility. This lodge is now your responsibility. Your responsibility to see that it grows and thrives while you are in office. The second wrapping is that of loyalty. The members of this lodge will without a doubt be loyal to you, but it is far more important that you be loyal to them. The next wrapping is that of humility. Do not be overly proud, for you occupy this office not by your work alone, but by the efforts of those surrounded by you. The next wrapping is of those two twins that always seem to go hand in hand, justice and fairness. Just as a judge will take his gavel with those virtues in mind, so must you always strive to be just and to be fair. And then down underneath, the innermost and finest wrapping of all is that of reverence. Our entire order is founded on God. Without him, there's nothing you can do. With him, there's nothing you cannot do. It is with deep humility, yet with great pride, that I now hand to you this gavel. Congratulations.
I now seat you in your yellow chair. Cover you with that distinction which in this lodge it is alone your privilege to wear. There you go. Worshipful Master, behold your brethren, brethren, behold your worshipful Master. So every time we get to this point in the ceremony and the Master's standing there holding his gavel, somehow they always pretend that they don't know that they're supposed to sound the gavel, and that's what stops the applause. That's what happened. Worshipful, as you are now duly installed as worshipful master of all Revere Lodge, it is now your prerogative, if you so choose, to install the remaining officers on your own, or you can assign somebody to do it for you. Now, I have an inkling, I mean, not that I'm psychic, but I think I know what the answer to questions?
I'd like to continue with,
Take it right up.
first I was doing it before. There
There you, person that was doing it. I knew that was right, I knew that.
Continue on, as I say.
All right, as you wish. Brother Marshall, you will present the remaining officers in order of their rank or installation.
Brother installing officer, I present Brother Kelly Cora, Senior Warden-elect for installation.
Brother Kell, you are elected senior warden for Revere Lodge and will now be invested with the jewel of your home. Good luck. The level demonstrates that we are descended from the same stock, partake of the same nature, and share the same hope. And though distinctions among men are necessary to preserve subordination, yet no eminence of station should make us forget that we are brothers. For he was placed on the lowest spoke of fortune's wheel may be entitled to our regard. Because the time will come when the wisest knows not how soon all distinctions, but that of goodness shall cease, and death, the grand leveler of human greatness, reduce us all to the same state. Your regular and punctual attendance is essentially necessary. In the absence of the master, you are to govern this lodge. In his presence, you are to assist him in the government of it. Your fitness for the discharge of such important duties undoubtedly led to your selection for the office by your brother. It should be your duty, and it should be your pleasure, so to act as to justify your conduct. The Corps look well to the west, and as you pass that way, illuminate the light which represents your station.
Brother installing officer, I present Brother Steve Swan, Junior Warden-elect for installation.
Brother Swan, you are elected junior warden of Paul Revere Lodge and will now be invested with the jewel of your office, the plum. The plum admonishes us to walk uprightly in our several stations, to hold the scales of justice with equal poise, to observe the just medium between intemperance and pleasure, to make our prejudices coincide with the line of our duty. To you is committed the superintendence of the craft during the hour of refreshment. It is therefore indispensably necessary that you not only be temperate and discreet, in the indulgence of your own inclinations, carefully to observe that none of the craft is suffered to convert the means of refreshment into intemperance or excess. Your regular and punctual attendance are particularly requested. We have no doubt that you will be ever watchful, whether at labor or refreshment, that the high toil of observation do not find you with your work, and that of the craft you superintend unperformed. For the swine of the well to the south, as you pass that way, illuminate the light which represents your station.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Worshipful Brother Javier Mendoza, Treasurer-elect for installation.
Worshipful Brother Mendoza, you are elected treasurer of all of your lodge, and will now be invested with the jewel of your office, the Cross King. It is your duty to receive all monies paid into the lodge from the hands of the secretary, the just and regular account of the same, pay them out by the order of the worshipful master and the said lodge. I trust that your regard for Freemasonry will prompt you to the faithful discharge of the duties of your office. You may prepare to do this.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Worshipful Brother Ray DeGroot, elected Assistant Secretary for installation.
Worshipful Brother DeGroot, you are appointed Assistant Secretary of Far Revere Lodge, and you will be invested with the jewel of the Secretary's office.
Thank you.
Cross Quills. In the absence of the Secretary, it is your duty to observe the will and pleasure of the worshipful master, to record the proceedings of the lodge proper to be written, transmit a copy of the same to the Grand Lodge when required, receive all monies paid into the lodge, pay them over to the treasurer taking his receipt therefore. Your regard for the fraternity will prompt you to execute the duties of this office with fidelity, and by doing so, you will merit the esteem and approval of your brother. You may prepare to the Secretary's desk.
Installing Officer, I present Worshipful Brother Frank Delta, appointed chaplain for installation.
Worshipful Brother Della, you are appointed chaplain of all of your lives. And you will first be presented with the Holy Bible, that great light of the nation, which is the textbook of the chaplain's call. Whatever shares its benign rays on every lawful assemblage of ancient created sacrifice. Then we learn the important duties we owe to God, our neighbor, and ourselves. Teach us from his life-giving precepts, and you will have fulfilled your sacred and important trust. It is only fitting that the emblem of the sacred body should be the jewel of your office. And with that, you are now invested. Delegate well to our devotion.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother Ricardo Santiago, Senior Deacon, appointed Senior Deacon, and Brother Jamie Aponte, appointed Junior Deacon, for installation.
Brethren Santiago and appointed. You are appointed senior and junior deacons of all of your lodge. You will now be invested with the jewels of your office. These rods, which you will bear in the performance of your duties, are now placed in your hands as symbols of your defeated authority. It is your duty to attend on your master and wardens and to act as their representatives in the active duty of the lodge, including the presentation of candidates into the different degrees of masonry, the introduction and accommodation of visitors, and in the immediate practices of our rights. The square accomplishes as badges of your office are entrusted to your care, not doubting your vigilance and attention. Repair to the respective places in the lodge.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother Richard Oliver, appointed Senior Steward for installation.
Oliver, you are appointed senior steward of your lodge. You will now be invested with the jewel and rod of your office. It is your duty to assist the deacons and other officers in the discharge and execution of their duties. When the lodge is at refreshment, you are to extend to visiting brethren such attentions as circumstances may suggest. Your regular and early attendance at our meetings will provide the best proof of your zeal and attachment to the lodge. Be prepared to deal things.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Worshipful Brother Anthony Hutchinson, appointed Marshal for installation.
Worshipful Brother Hutchins, you are appointed Marshal of Paul Revere Lodge, and now the rest of the jewel of your office across the time. And you are invested in this baton as the appropriate symbols of your office. It is your duty to form and conduct the session of the brethren of the lodge on all public occasions, to perform such other duties as are appropriate to your office and as the worshipful master may direct. The marshal, to Marshal's chair. All right. We've got all the officers installed. We are now at the point where we talk about our namesake of the Paul Revere. Paul Revere was Grand Master of Masons of the state of Massachusetts in 1795, and during his time as Grand Master, he made it a point to uphold the laws of masonry to the strictest as they could be. He ensured that lodges that were being formed at that time were being formed according to the laws, and he took upon himself to write a series of charges to the brethren in the jurisdiction, admonishing them to uphold masonry in the same likeness. These charges were written with the intent of being read at the installation of officer ceremonies for every lodge, every year, and we still use these words as they were written for the same purpose for over 240 years, something like that. So, there were three charges. The first charge was written to the worshipful master who was going to rise. I'm going to sit down. Worshipful master, this worshipful lodge, having chosen you for its master and representative, it is now incumbent upon you, diligently and on every proper occasion, to inquire into the knowledge of your fellows and find them daily employable, that the art that they profess may not be forgotten or neglected. You should avoid partiality, giving praise where it is due, and employing those in the most honorable part of the work who have made the greatest advancement for the encouragement of the art. You should preserve unity and judge in all causes amicably and mildly, preferring peace. That the society may prosper, you should preserve the dignity of your office, requiring submission from the perverse and refractory, always acting upon and being guided by the principles on which your authority is founded. You should, to the extent of your power, pay a regular attendance on your lodge, that you may see how your work flourishes and how your instruction is obeyed. You should take care that neither your words nor your actions shall render your authority less regarded, but that your prudent and careful behavior will set an example and give a sanction to your power. And as brotherly love is the strength and support of all institutions, so cherish and encourage it, that the brethren may be more willing to obey the dictates of Masons than you have occasion to command. The next charge is written to the officers of the lodge. The master is going to sound 2 gavelers, causing those officers to rise. And to the officers of this worshipful lodge, you should carefully assist the worshipful master in the discharge and execution of his office. Diffusing light and imparting knowledge on all the brethren under your care, keeping the brethren in just order and decorum. Nothing may be allowed to disturb the peaceful serenity or obstruct the glorious effects of harmony and concord. And that these may be better preserved, you should carefully inquire into the character of all candidates for this venerable society, recommend none to the master who, in your opinion, is not worthy of the privileges and the advantages of Masonry, keeping the city far from the fraternity, where harmony is obstructed by the superstitious and morose. You should discharge the lodge quietly, encouraging the brethren assembled to work cheerfully, that none when dismissed may go away dissatisfied. The last charge is written to the brethren of the fraternity. The master is going to sound 3 gavelers. There's a NOV. And you, the brethren, learn to follow the instruction and advice of your officers. Submit cheerfully to their amicable decisions, laying aside all prejudices and resentments toward each other. Let your chief care be to the advancement of the society in which you have the honor to be members. Let there be a modest and friendly relation among you in doing good to each other. Let complacency and benevolence flourish among you. Let your actions be squared by the rules of Masonry. Let friendships be cherished. All the advantages of that title by which we distinguish each other, that we may be brothers, not only in name, but in full import, extent, and latitude of so glorious an appellation. Finally, my brethren, as this association has been carried on with so much unanimity and concord, in which we greatly rejoice, so may it extend to the latest ages. May your love be harmonious. And while these principles are uniformly supported, this lodge will be an honor to Masonry, an example to the world, and therefore a blessing to mankind. From this happy prospect, I rest assured of your steady perseverance. And conclude by wishing you all, my brother, joy of your master, wardens, and other officers, and of your constitutional union as brethren. Brother Marshall, you will make the official proclamation.
I am directed to proclaim and hereby proclaim that the master, wardens, and other officers elected and appointed to govern Paul Revere Lodge have been regularly installed into their respective stations and places for the ensuing Masonic year, except for secretary, junior steward, and title. This proclamation is made from the east. From the west. From the south. Once. Twice. Thrice. All interested will take due notice and govern themselves accordingly.
Let us all rise for the benediction.
Almighty and everlasting God, from whom cometh every good and perfect gift, send down upon thy servants here assembled the heartfelt spirit of thy grace, that they may truly please thee on all their doings. Grant, O Lord, power of mind and great understanding to those whom we have this day clothed with authority to preside and direct the affairs of this lodge. And so replenish them with the truths of masonry, and adorn them with humility of life, that both by word and good example they faithfully serve thee, to the glory of thy holy name, and to the advancement for all good purposes of our blessed institution.
Please be seated. I want to take just a moment before I start talking to congratulate my good brother Earl on his ascension to the east and taking a spot in the past masters fraternity. So thank you all for listening. I know you're probably tired of hearing me talk. I hand it over to worshipful brother Earl.
My brothers and sisters, I want to thank everyone for showing up today, for showing up last year, and for the 7 years before this, getting me to this point, which is pretty much unbelievable for me. I'd like to thank my wife for putting up with me. I'd like to thank Reuben for raising me up 10 years ago or so. I'd like to thank Marty and another man who got me into the lodge and being able to see what good masonry does for everyone, especially me. I'd like to share that this is not my lodge, this is your lodge. I'm a caretaker, but a good caretaker makes the lodge better during his reign. And that is my goal, is to make our lodge better and make everyone else feel free to move up and move around where they need to increase membership and to increase brotherhood. There's coffee and pastries downstairs. And as a separate note, I will have some people over. I know it's not going to be many, but when we get downstairs, we can discuss on who would like to come out and have a sandwich or something at my house. We also have one more thing we need to do, and that will be presents the veterans table. And I'd like Javi to work that. Sure.
Worshipful Master, before we do that, you do have a little thing right to your left for a special someone. Keep going. On the floor. On your left. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Keep going. On the left. This side I'm waiting my hand on.
Flowers.
Can I give you a handout?
Sure. Will Jerry please come up? Please. You get the bouquet?
I don't want to see this.
I'd like to present this as a little thing, my token of this appreciation. Thank you.
Give him a hearty handshake.
And as installing officers, will you please rise and come up?
Who's that?
Installing officers, that's one of you.
Installation piece.
Can you grab that microphone, please? No, grab that microphone. I'm learning.
All right.
I got 3. If anybody's ever been at my house, and none of you have, obviously. That's it. I'd like to bestow upon you these gifts one at a time. Sure. If you've ever been at my house and looked on my walls, I've collected antique clocks for a long time. So I have a deep affinity to clocks, and what I would like one of you to do is open up your bag. Marshall, can open up his bag. And this is my gift to you for being so good to me. It's nice and small, it's not obtrusive. That's exactly what it is. You can show it everybody. It's a Masonic clock for those that can't see that well. Sure. Cruise the room. Ricardo didn't see it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. It's my officers, the Dias officers. Please rise. Rise and approach the east. There was a sale, it was 7 for the cost of 5, so I had 2 extras, right? Not really.
I don't think you're special.
Put on your vest, think of it, and you want to laugh.
You still look great. You got 7 of them. Who's the other one?
You return to your seats. And Then, go ahead.
May I speak?
Please do.
First of all, very good job on doing the installation. I'm so pleased to work with you, and it's my pleasure to wish you well. But also, I know we have something that brother Javier and brother Rector have planned up here, don't you?
I
Isn't that
did
right?
say something about that, but I'll say
Excuse me, I just wanted to remind you.
Worst Paul,
Yes, sir.
if I may address the body, please.
Please.
Most of you know me, and I just want to put this out there, especially during this time of COVID. I am the chairman of the Masonic Assistant Program, and one of my officers is Steve over there. If you have a brother that needs assistance, and also Frank is on that with me also, a brother, a family member who's part of the fraternity and needs assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help. The Grand Lodge is here to help. So please, I don't want to get the phone call, it's too late that you're in the hospital already. And that's happened too many times. So if you need assistance, dial up Frank, Steve, the worshipful, your wardens. We're here to help you at this level, the Grand Lodge level, and at Illinois State Hospital. So please, reach out to us.
Anything else for the good of the order? Yes, Francis.
Yes, Worshipful, I wanted to announce to the lodge that we requested from NCAP, the Illinois Illinois Masonic Children's Assistance Program. We asked for $4,050 for their use of technology, and I wanted you to know, and the rest of the lodge to know, that that it was approved, and that you and I are going to be presenting the check sometime early next week.
Just for more information for everybody that probably doesn't know, we have a Paul Revere Park not too far away. And in the park is a Boys and Girls Club that has been around for a very long time. Frank and I took a tour of the place. They're doing fine work with the children. After school, they had a lot of good programs. Because the Park District closed everything down, they got permission to use a factory. I'm sure they're paying a little bit for the factory, but because they're using it for communication with internet, that's what the money is going to be used for, to provide the internet access that the children can go to school and then come home and do their homework at the Boys and Girls Club, which will have the facilities to be able to do that for them, and that's where the money is coming from. Anything else for the good of the order? I'm going to do this. Will the Veterans Table performance occur?
Yes, Worshipful. So in honor of the recent holiday, Veterans Day, we do a missing man table for Veterans Day, and we set up this table in honor of those who have served and can't be here with us today. To those who have served and those currently serving in branches of our United States military, or as first responders, we are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace and safety has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We honor those who have made sacrifices for us and for whom we are compelled to never forget. While we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, of deprivation and interment, and there are those who will never return. As we honor our military and first responders, let us pause to recognize our brothers who have been injured in the line of duty or fallen brothers, those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, as well as our POWs and MIAs. with the honor table, which I will now call your attention. The table itself symbolizes our everlasting concern for our brothers who have protected us in the military or as first responders. The tablecloth is white. The cloth symbolizes the purity of their motives when answering the call to duty. The napkin is black, symbolizing the darkness that these brothers fight for our benefit. A single rose is displayed in a vase with a red ribbon. The red rose reminds us of the life of each of these brothers and of their loved ones and close friends who will join them in sacrifice. A slice of lemon on the bread plate reminds us of the bitter fate of those who have been injured, captured, missing, or who have died protecting us. A pinch of salt on each bread plate symbolizes the tears endured by the families and friends. A Bible placed prominently on the table. The Bible, or Holy Book, represents the strength gained through faith to sustain them and sustain the United States of America, which was founded as one nation under God. An empty plate inverted glass can be seen at one place in it. This place is reserved for those of our brothers who cannot be with us. The empty plate symbolizes those who have died in the line of duty. The inverted glass symbolizes the POW or MIA, inability to share and receive. There is a chair tilted forward against the table, as though being saved for someone. The empty chair symbolizes that although these we recognize now are missing, they are not forgotten. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope, which lives in our hearts, to illuminate their way home, whether to their Creator or to the open arms of a grateful nation. Let us pray to the Supreme Architect of the universe. We pray for all those brothers who have selflessly served so that we may be free to enjoy this meal. May God forever watch over them and protect them and their families, and may each of us live worthy of their sacrifice in the way that we love and serve. In God we trust, and in His name we pray for all our military and first responders. Amen.
So what do we believe?
Thank you, Worship.
Well, I sounded the gavel, right?
I still have, I'm sorry for this, I forgot to say something. Number one, we need to do some pictures, so don't leave right away if you're an officer. And secondly, don't you all miss Elliot? This is the first one. This is the first one he's missed in, I think, 20 years. And if it wasn't for the fact that he was positive, COVID-19, I know he would be here. And now that he's been elevated to be our district deputy, I think we even miss him more. And I know I do.
Okay, I'm going to do this one more time. This is it. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.